You do not walk into a barbecue restaurant expecting a salad. You go for smoke, bark, and the kind of meat that makes you question every dietary decision you have ever made. So this is not a health lecture. This is about protecting your hard-earned dollars from restaurants that serve reheated disappointment disguised as authentic pit-smoked barbecue. Because once you know what real low and slow tastes like, most of what passes for barbecue in this country starts to feel like a scam. Today, we are exposing 9 Canadian barbecue restaurants you should think twice about, and 3 that actually respect your brisket and your wallet. Let us start with the mild offenders and work our way up to the truly unforgivable. We are starting at number 9 with a restaurant that promises the smoke but delivers the sticker shock, the Carbon Bar. Located in downtown Toronto at 99 Queen Street East, the Carbon Bar has been serving what it calls Texas-style barbecue since 2013. The space is gorgeous, a renovated building that once housed a record shop and later the legendary Electric Circus nightclub. High ceilings, leather banquettes, glowing orbs of light creating an intimate vibe. It looks like a place where ad executives close deals over bourbon cocktails. And that is precisely the problem. This is a smokehouse that seems more interested in being a cocktail bar than a barbecue joint. Reviewers consistently note that while the atmosphere is fantastic, the prices are painful for what you actually receive. Multiple diners have described the ribs as dry and under-seasoned, with sauces that are overly acidic and do not complement the meat. One reviewer on TripAdvisor described their ribs as having a slight smoked taste, but no seasoning whatsoever, served dry without sauce, and the accompanying barbecue sauce was so acidic it was unsuitable for the meat. For a restaurant that charges premium prices in one of the most expensive dining districts in Toronto, serving dry ribs with incompatible sauce is unforgivable. The portions are described by some as generous, but by others as tiny at best, depending on what you order. The wine list has been criticized as insanely expensive with limited by-the-glass options. This is a place that wants to be a fine dining establishment that happens to serve barbecue, rather than a barbecue restaurant that happens to have nice ambiance. If you are after authentic smokehouse vibes, the cocktail-forward approach here will leave you cold. At number 8, we have Cherry Street Bar BQ, the Portland's outpost that earned a Michelin Bib Gourmand designation. Before you accuse me of ranking a Michelin-recognized restaurant among the worst, hear me out. Cherry Street operates in a beautiful 1920s former bank building in one of Toronto's most isolated dining destinations. The pitmaster has Kansas City Barbecue Society credentials, and yes, the brisket can be excellent when it is fresh. But here is the problem. This is a counter-service restaurant where you order at the front and find your own seat, which would be fine except they serve your smoked meats with plastic cutlery, plastic knives to cut through brisket. Multiple reviewers have called this out as ridiculous for a restaurant at this price point. You are paying upwards of $24 for a half rack of ribs, and they hand you a flimsy plastic knife that could snap on the first cut. The location itself has been a nightmare for years, surrounded by massive waterfront construction that makes getting there feel like navigating a war zone. Some reviewers describe showing up to find the restaurant surrounded by construction equipment, detours, and confusion. The counter service can feel rushed and impersonal, with some diners noting staff who seemed not in a good mood and offered minimal interaction beyond taking the order. And if you show up later in the day, especially on weekends, expect items to be sold out. When meats run out, they run out, and you might drive 30 minutes through construction only to find your preferred protein is gone. For a Michelin-recognized restaurant, these operational issues are disappointing. Number 7, the Lancaster Smokehouse. This is a massive operation, seating 600 people in a historic 1840s railroad hotel that survived 4 fires between 1992 and 1994. It was featured on the Food Network show You Gotta Eat Here and draws crowds from across the Waterloo region. So why is it on this list? Inconsistency. When the Lancaster is good, it is very good. When it is off, you have wasted a trip. Multiple reviewers report receiving cold food that was clearly sitting for too long. One recent TripAdvisor review described ordering wings that arrived cold, clearly a forgotten order being pawned off on them. The service can feel impersonal due to the sheer volume of customers they process. Staff need to move quickly to handle the turnover, which means you might not get the attentive Southern hospitality you expect from a smokehouse. The prices have also crept up significantly, with some reviewers describing it as a little high for the food. The sides get mixed reviews, with onion rings described as oozing with grease and sweet in an unpleasant way. This is a place that can deliver when everything clicks, but the inconsistency means you are rolling the dice every time you visit. Number 6. Blackstrap BBQ. This restaurant is permanently closed. Blackstrap was Montreal's first barbecue joint to import its own southern smoker directly from Missouri. It opened in 2012 in Verdun and quickly became a destination for Montrealers craving authentic, dry-rubbed, slow-cooked meats. The burnt ends poutine became legendary. So what went wrong? The problems that plagued Blackstrap are a cautionary tale for every Canadian smokehouse. Reviewers consistently complained about small portions for the price. One diner described paying nearly $15 for 4 ribs that were only 4 inches long each, with gristle, a tiny thimble of baked beans that tasted like soap, and coleslaw that was way too tart. They called it a total rip-off. The space was cramped, with communal tables and stools at a counter that made some diners feel like they were eating in a cafeteria rather than a smokehouse. By 2025, Blackstrap had closed its doors permanently. The lesson here is clear. Even a pioneering restaurant with genuine credentials can fail if it stops respecting portion sizes, quality control, and customer experience. If you ever see a barbecue restaurant being praised for its glory days, but showing cracks in consistency and value, pay attention. Blackstrap did not close because Montrealers stopped wanting barbecue. It closed because it stopped delivering. Number 5. Boneheads BBQ. Halifax's original Southern barbecue restaurant has been operating since 2010 and was featured on You Gotta Eat Here. They smoke low and slow using hardwood, and the menu covers all the classics including pulled pork, Texas-style brisket, ribs, chicken, and sausage. So why is it here? The inconsistency reports are alarming. Multiple diners have reported issues with the chicken being very dry and inedible. The mac and cheese has been described as tasting like macaroni mixed into melted cheese product, which is not what you want from a dedicated smokehouse. The cornbread has been called clearly store-bought and not handmade, arriving soggy and cold. For a restaurant that charges premium prices and markets itself as Halifax's premier barbecue destination, these quality control failures are unacceptable. There are also reports of orders arriving cold even when eating immediately, and sides being terribly underseasoned. The dining room is cramped with limited seating, and some customers report being unable to pay with cash because the register had no change. When your ribs are tough, your sides taste like they came from a can, and your cornbread is store-bought, you have stopped being a smokehouse and started being a disappointment. Number 4. Memphis Fire Barbecue Company. This family-run restaurant has been operating for over 15 years, crafting what they call a blend of Southern barbecue traditions with Canadian flavors. The space is designed to feel like a 1950s diner, complete with a jukebox playing old-school hits. Sounds charming, right? The problems start with the meat. Multiple reviewers describe the ribs as so tough they could hardly chew them, with a terrible vinegar taste. Others report pulled pork that seemed boiled or steamed rather than smoked, drowning in horrible, watery, sugary sauce. One detailed Yelp review described takeout, where the brisket was clearly done in an oven with moisture rather than properly smoked, calling the sauce horrible and the overall experience terrible. The food is described as extremely salty by multiple reviewers, with one calling it a tourist trap. Service complaints include staff who approach the table only twice, once to take the order and once to deliver food, never asking about refills or checking in. The wait times can be ridiculous, especially for larger groups, and the restaurant does not take reservations. This means you might drive out to Stony Creek, wait an hour, and then receive tough ribs covered in too sweet sauce. The dining area is small, and the seating strategy has been called questionable. When your meats are described as inedible, and your sauce is covering up sins rather than complementing smoke, you have lost the plot on what barbecue is supposed to be. At number 3, we have the Palomino Smokehouse and Social Club in downtown Calgary. Since 2004, the Palomino has positioned itself as Calgary's premier barbecue and live music venue. They claim to have the largest smoker in Western Canada and say they smoke 40,000 kilograms of brisket and 20,000 kilograms of pork every year. Those are impressive numbers. So why is the food so inconsistent? OpenTable reviews tell the story. Food was cold. Quality of food subpar. A bit overpriced. Very old-looking inside and made it seem run down. The noise from live music has been described as so loud that the vibrations were unpleasant while trying to eat dinner. One Foursquare reviewer who has a smoker at home and knows good barbecue said the food simply lacked flavor despite the great atmosphere and spectacular service. The ribs have been described as overcooked, and the brisket as occasionally dry with flavor that just does not measure up to the hype. Restaurantchi aggregates reviews noting that while the quality has seen some decline, the food is still enjoyed by many, with ribs that are not consistently tender and brisket that is occasionally dry. That is damning with faint praise. For a venue that processes this much meat, consistency should not be a problem. The fact that some nights you get great barbecue and other nights you get dried out disappointment suggests systemic issues in their process. Add in the live music that makes conversation impossible, the dated interior, and prices that do not match the quality, and you have a venue that is better for catching a band than for eating barbecue. At number 2, we have Beach Hill Smokehouse, a Toronto operation that has expanded to multiple locations including the Beaches, Bloor West Village, and Yonge Street. They market themselves as providing the best barbecue in Toronto, and they are now offering franchise opportunities. That franchise expansion is precisely what concerns me. Beach Hill is a no-frills operation. Picnic tables, paper towel rolls for napkins, counter service, where you order from a chalkboard menu. No alcohol is served. The decor is minimalist. None of that is inherently bad, but when you combine stripped-down service with premium prices and limited hours, you need the meat to be flawless. And it is not always flawless. The restaurant closes early, often by mid-afternoon, and frequently sells out of popular items. You might make the trip only to find they are out of brisket by 2 in the afternoon. The limited menu means fewer options when your preferred protein is gone. Multiple reviewers describe the experience as very basic, which is fine for a hole-in-the-wall with exceptional meat but concerning for a franchise operation charging Toronto prices. The rapid expansion raises questions about quality control. When a single pitmaster is smoking meat for one location, they can maintain standards. When you are franchising across multiple locations, consistency becomes exponentially harder. Every legendary barbecue joint that has tried to scale has faced this challenge, and many have failed. Beach Hill is betting they can beat those odds, but the no-frills approach combined with aggressive expansion suggests they may be prioritizing growth over craft. And now we are at number 1. At the top of our worst list, we have Dixie's Barbecue Commissary in Vancouver. And this one is a cautionary tale about what happens when a beloved restaurant loses its way. Dixie's opened on East Hastings Street in 2016, bringing authentic Central Texas barbecue to Vancouver. The brisket was legendary. Reviewers who had eaten across Texas said Dixie's was as good as anything they had back home. The pitmaster knew his craft. The smoker was wood-fired only, and the space had that authentic Southern vibe. So what went wrong? Everything. First, the location. East Hastings is in Vancouver's downtown east side, one of the poorest neighborhoods in Canada. Reviewers consistently warned that while the food was great, walking there meant seeing things that make you uncomfortable, including people sleeping on the street and open drug use. That alone was not the death blow, as the barbecue was good enough to justify the trip. But then quality started slipping. Reviews began noting that the brisket was a bit dry and not as good as in Texas despite earlier raves. In July 2019, Dixie's closed its storefront entirely, pivoting to a ghost kitchen model, serving only delivery through apps. They claimed demand for delivery had overshadowed regular restaurant sales, but the timing suggested a business in decline. The space became a commissary for other restaurants, and Dixie's eventually rebranded entirely, becoming Slim's Barbecue at a different location in 2021. The original Dixie's Barbecue Commissary no longer exists. The lesson is stark. A restaurant can have the best brisket in the city, authentic technique, and passionate ownership, and still fail if it cannot maintain quality. manage its location challenges, and adapt to changing conditions. When you are choosing where to spend your barbecue dollars, remember Dixie's. Reputation is not permanent. Quality must be earned every single day. If you have ever bitten into a barbecue meal and instantly regretted it, dry brisket, tough ribs, or meat that tasted nothing like the picture, drop a comment and tell me which restaurant disappointed you. I read every single one. And if you are finding this useful, hit subscribe so you do not miss what is coming next. All right, enough punishment. Let us talk about where you should actually spend your money. At number 3, we have Smokey and Bones, a Toronto smokehouse that has been crafting Southern-style barbecue since 2014. They now operate 2 locations, one on Queen Street West near Trinity Bellwoods, and a newer spot in Baldwin Village near Kensington Market. What sets Smokey and Bones apart is their commitment to authenticity. Their Southern Pride smoker was custom-built for their space to provide genuine flavor, aroma, and texture. Everything that leaves their kitchen is made from scratch. The tables are topped with reclaimed wood from old Toronto houses, and the lighting features bunker and prison lights from World War II. It is a vibe. The menu draws inspiration from Memphis, Texas, Kansas, and the Carolinas, giving you regional variety rather than a one-note approach. Reviewers consistently praise the tender brisket, the superb ribs, and the must-try pulled pork. The side ribs get particular love, described as the best some diners have ever had. The cornbread is sweet and savory at the same time, paired with a creamy butter that melts in your mouth. The service is friendly, and the staff genuinely seem to care about your experience. There is even an upstairs whiskey bar called Cole, with nearly 200 expressions of Scotch, bourbon, and rye. The prices are not cheap, but you are paying for quality ingredients cooked with care. If you want barbecue that honors Southern tradition while feeling distinctly Toronto, Smokey and Bones delivers. Number 2. Bark Smokehouse. It has been open since 2011. Bark has built a reputation for what they call refined barbecue, combining traditional Southern smoking with modern scratch cooking and genuine hospitality. The restaurant is helmed by a team that takes sourcing seriously. They use local Ontario ingredients for their sides and source their meats from quality suppliers. The result is urban-inspired barbecue that feels elevated without losing its soul. The meat platter is the star, with reviewers praising the perfectly seasoned brisket and succulent pulled pork. The sides shine here too, with creamy mac and cheese, roasted Brussels sprouts, and coleslaw that actually complements the meat rather than fighting it. What makes Bark particularly noteworthy is their approach to staff. This is a fair wage establishment that has done away with tipping in favor of paying their employees higher wages. That commitment to treating their team well translates into service that feels genuine rather than performative. The space itself is warm and welcoming, with exposed brick, unfinished wood paneling, and an outdoor patio that is perfect for summer dining. They have also expanded into catering and even opened Bark Butcher Bar, a combination restaurant, bar, and retail butcher shop. The prices have increased post-pandemic, which some reviewers note, but the quality remains consistently high. For refined barbecue that respects both tradition and the people who make it, Bark is a Toronto institution worth supporting. And at number 1, Golden Horseshoe Barbecue, the barbecue restaurant that more Canadians should be eating at. Golden Horseshoe Barbecue opened in September 2025 in Toronto's Seton Village neighborhood, and within days, the line stretched 3/4 of a block. This is not hype. This is a 24-year-old pitmaster named Andrew Golden delivering the real thing. Golden's story is inspiring. Before the restaurant, his operation was a smoker rolled into a driveway, firing up at 5 in the morning. He ran pop-ups at breweries across the city, squirreling away money for his dream. He trained under Chris Hansen at the Carbon Bar, then partnered with his mentor to open Golden Horseshoe. What makes Golden Horseshoe special starts with the equipment. Their custom-built 5,000-pound smokers are completely wood-fired. No gas, no electric. That is unprecedented in Toronto. The brisket is seasoned with salt, pepper, and a secret 8-ingredient rub, rested for 24 hours, then slow-smoked for 10 to 12 hours. The result is melt-in-your-mouth texture with a deep, rich flavor profile that stands alone without sauce. The ribs are simply seasoned with salt, pepper, and a Mexican chili rub, then smoked for up to 6 hours. The half chicken is cooked South Carolina style over coals, with fat dripping and creating flavorful smoke that perfumes the skin, while intense heat makes it super crispy. Even the sides are thoughtful. The coleslaw uses a vinaigrette instead of mayonnaise to cut the fattiness. The mac and cheese has a bechamel base with 3 types of cheese and a coating of breadcrumbs. The charro beans are a riff on a dish Golden learned from his mentor in Texas. Prices are fair, with sausages at $7, half a chicken at $20, brisket at $24, and sides between $6 and $9. For Toronto, that is genuinely reasonable. Reviewers are calling the brisket phenomenal, possibly the best they have ever had. The sausage has been described as one of the best ever tasted. The ribs have spot-on texture, not fatty, not falling apart, with a satisfying bite. This is what happens when passion meets technique meets proper equipment. Golden Horseshoe is the new standard for Canadian barbecue. Here is the bottom line. You do not go to a barbecue restaurant expecting health food. You go for smoke, fat, fire, and flavor. That is the deal. That is the indulgence. When restaurants serve you reheated meat, liquid smoke from a bottle, and sauces designed to hide their sins, they are not giving you barbecue. They are giving you a scam with a side of nostalgia. Next time you are craving real pit-smoked meat, skip the pretenders. Find a restaurant where someone actually cares about the craft, where the smoker runs on real wood, and where the brisket speaks for itself. Your taste buds and your wallet will thank you. Now, if you want to keep protecting your money from overrated restaurants, check out another one of our videos. We have got more chains, more scams, and more places that do not deserve $1 of your hard-earned cash. Thanks for watching.